are going to bring in right now the man of the hour. Now, I'm going to do something different. I'm bringing in a good buddy of mine. We have a lot of good mutual friends in the business. I'm not going to do an introduction because he does some of the best introductions as he does. So I'm going to bring it right now, live, the quintessential Stuff Muffin, Joel Gertner. Welcome, brother.
Well. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, man?
What's going on? How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm sorry it took you guys such a while to realize that you really can't go under the mat unless you're doing it with the man who's like the middle of the litter box, always surrounded by pussy, you know.
Of course.
How does that? I'm trying my PG. I'm trying my PG like that. How is that? That's probably more PG-13 or NC-17.
Well, we don't do PG on the show. We don't do PG-13. We keep it rated R on this show.
You don't, but I've been like a certified pervert for the last half of my life. That I have to figure. You know, I need to sometimes work on. I need to sometimes be more Walt Whitman, you know, kind of blades of grass, and less like, you know, whatever mass or what, you know. I need to just kind of, you know, you can be a poet for the modern age and still, you know, do so with, you know, not working quite so blue, right? So I'm going to try to give that a try every now and again. But for you guys, under the mat, like you said, there's no language, you know, there's no regulations, there's no language barriers, there's no censorship, there's no nothing like that. It's all live and it's all. So I figure, why not, if you guys are going to be under the mat, like I said, why not go with the guy that always is just slightly a little bit under the fupa, you know what I mean? And if you don't know what fupa stands for, it's affecting her acronym, and I'll probably die the way that.
I like this, how this conversation is going. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's hot. Cool. Okay.
As always, first I want to say thank you for coming on to the show. No, you're a very busy man. Want to say, what do you want for us to call you? Want us to call you Joel Gertner, Mr. Gertner? What name do you refer to refer you as?
Dude, as long as you guys don't pay me for this appearance on your podcast, you can call me whatever you want. It's all the same. It's all the same. Just don't call me after like midnight because I'll be asleep, because then a very early day, because you know how it is. The early bird catches, you know, the early bird is, you know, sticks his beak in the river and catches whatever there is to be caught all day long.
Understandable.
That's how it is, man. When you're the quintessential Stuff Muffin, that's how it is. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is. Now we gotta.
I like what you guys do. I've been trying to kind of feel the vibe of your show and just kind of get a gist of like who all some of the guests, the audience, everything like that. Kind of, you know, just trying to keep my finger on the pulse of the public, and you know, that's the thing, man. I wanted to be here with you, talk with you, let you know what's going on, lots of different things. Since the last time I was on, branching out into within wrestling and outside of wrestling also, just branching out and doing a lot of different things. Got my own podcast, and that's going pretty. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah,
no problem.
It's going pretty well. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah. So we got you on. Got to ask you a fan question because I'm getting hit up on Facebook with chats. A couple of fans want to know, are you wearing a neck brace right now?
In the comfort of my own home. Man, no, right now I'm not. Funny thing though, I'm never really actually wearing a neck brace. Even when you see me with that on and you're thinking to yourself, you've been wearing that neck brace for years upon years, decades now. It's not actually a neck brace anymore. It was one when I first got put in it after I took total elimination. And then I wore it forever. And then right at the end, it looked like I was actually one night cleared. And I went out and the doctor had cleared me, no more neck brace, perfect. And I go out there. But this is right around the time that the Dudley boys were getting ready to depart ECW for the World Wrestling Federation. So they, for whatever sins I committed, whether it was the John F. Kennedy Jr. promo that I cut up TNN or whatever it was, long story short, they jacked me up and they gave me 3D. So me not being in neck brace lasted for about half a night. And then starting the very next week, I was right back in the neck brace. But little does anybody know that in the years that have passed, while ECW has become classic and vintage, and while it's gone into the nostalgia and everything else, during that time, somewhere along the way, I saw the doctor again about it, and he cleared me again, and there was no reason anymore for me to be in the neck brace. So now, when you see me at an appearance or wherever it might be, and I'm appearing there and I've got it on, understand that it isn't actually a neck brace. What it is, at this point, that I'm wearing is a European-style cunnilingus support device. Keep laughing. That was a long setup for that punchline, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
At least a dozen seconds of laughter, you know what I mean? You got to keep it up a little bit, you know? I appreciate that.
It's no fun. Now,
I'll be here all week in my house without the neck brace on.
Now, we got to talk about, of course, your show, the 69-minute orgasm.
Yeah, it's actually the 69-minute orgasm. Gosh, we've had so many great guests so far. We've had One Man Gang's been on, Exotic Adrian Street was on. We've had Luke Hawks on. We've had Hugo Savinovich. We started out with it was actually the second episode, but it was our first guest, was Judah Friedlander from 30 Rock and from The Wrestler, Parents, all that stuff. I mean, we've been blessed with the best guests, and it's just a real, it's very, very, I was about to say it's out of left field. It's really just out of the ballpark, and it's out of your zip code, and it's definitely a thinking person's show, and it's a very avant-garde, and, which is good because that's kind of the direction that my creativity tends to go in anyway. So it's very dissimilar to any other podcast that you probably hear, which, again, I think is a good thing.
Oh, that's what's up.
Well, yeah, you got to definitely be different in the business. Can't be like everybody else.
I guess. Gameboy. I mean, it's just, the podcast game is getting really, really competitive now. A lot of people have understood now that it's a good thing to do. I was one of the more recent people to jump on it. And as, a non-wrestling personality, as a talker, as a hype man, and not somebody who works between the ropes, podcasting is something that I should have been doing a good bit earlier on than when I actually started doing it. But I'm trying to make up for that lost time, and the shows that we've been putting out there. We've done about, I think, 9 episodes so far. You could catch them on iTunes or Stitcher or Pod Directory. And if you search for either 69-minute orgasm or my nickname, Quintessential Stud Muffin, or my name, it should come up. And just really, really, I mean, the episodes have been a lot of fun to do and a lot of fun to listen back on.
Thanks for that. And NSC Gameboy?
What has been the hardest challenge really starting with your podcast and really converting? Podcast is becoming oversaturated. A lot of people, everybody and their mother, wants to be on radio, wants to do shows. What has been like the biggest challenge, I think, for y'all to really, get it up where you need to be?
Well, anybody's mother, if they want to, she could be on radio or TV or anything like that. Just send her to me, and I'll ask her, have you ever thought about doing a little TV? And regardless of what she say, the comeback is going to be, well, have you ever thought about letting a little TV do you? Yeah. Having said that, I don't know. Your question was the podcast game. What's been the biggest challenge? Gosh, the logistics. Yeah. Some of the logistics. I mean, our producer. We work with Cult of Kayfabe on Facebook. Oh, yeah. The lead guy there is our regular producer, James Ryder. He's based in the UK. So there is a 5-hour time difference or so. And then what's tough is, just any old thing. I mean, schedule-wise, it's just kind of. It's the non-creative. I think it's everything that would complicate anything else other than a podcast. The same kind of stuff that might, make you think that, Murphy's Law is running strong, at your job or running strong in your home or that kind of thing, just life happening and things popping up. That's really, I hate to kind of it might sound braggadocious that it's just those kind of little nitpicky things that are what makes it the hardest to get each episode finally done and keep a couple of them in the hopper or anything like that. But I mean, for me so far, that's kind of been it, because, to write for it and to kind of, perform, through, the little mini sketches we come up with or anything like that, to actually be, more along the lines of an interviewer and ask certain wrestlers and personalities the questions themselves, that part of it I don't find so challenging. But just the part, running it and making it happen and doing some of the behind-the-scenes stuff is not so much challenging, but it's, it's just the stuff that has to get done. And like I say, whether it's a podcast or anything else.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you for asking. Jack?
Yeah, thank you for that.
As you guys probably well know, I mean, how long have you guys been doing the show?
About 2.5 years.
For 2.5 years.
It's not all glamour, right?
No,
it's not.
No, it's not. It's funny because we actually got a legit radio background experience. We actually did the show in the beginning in an actual radio studio. And, we did our show before podcasting was like the next big thing, Because, we're good friends with Jim Ross and Bischoff, but around then, nobody really had that podcast. It was before Austin and Jim Ross and Jericho and Cornette, and then about a year later, and everybody had one: Jericho, Cornette, and Ross, and Austin, and everybody that was the who's who was having a podcast, and it was like the next thing, and everybody started leeching on. So we started literally a good 6 months to a year before the whole podcast boom. Excuse me about that. But like you said, there's a lot of work. You got to do it professionally. You got to find your niche. A lot of people, of course, me ask you, Joel, and ask us, is how do you do a show and how do you make it successful? Anybody could have a show. That's easy. Is being relevant, being consistent, and being successful. That's the tough part. So, yeah, it's not all glory, but it's definitely hard work, and it's worth it.
Yep.
I think also on top of that, you get really kind of blown away when you listen to the stories. A lot of the wrestlers and stuff we've interviewed, and not just wrestlers, just actors and athletes and stuff outside of wrestling, and you really get personal by us creating that barrier where they can be themselves and they don't have to walk on eggshells. We have got a lot of great guests to just come up here and really just, bust out and cry or just find themselves within certain interviews. And, we luckily, in our 2.5-year history, we have not had a bad guest come on the show. We didn't have an asshole. We didn't have nobody who bashed the show or felt like they didn't, enjoy themselves and everything. Every guest that we ever had on the show, no matter how long or how short the appearance was, they enjoyed coming on under the mat. And I think that's really been the key to our success, is that we've made sure that the guests and the fans at least get that connection,
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it definitely is. Now, of course, Joel, we got a fan of yours that definitely wants to speak to you. Before we bring him on, talk about your company. Talk about your wrestling company. Talk about MXW Pro Wrestling.
Thank you, man. Yeah, MXW is a project that I made an announcement about on my social media about a month or so ago, and then we kind of decided we'd take a little moratorium of mystery and not mention it for a few weeks. But we're going to start doing some more announcements this week, probably tomorrow night, maybe between 9 and midnight Eastern. But I have my second meeting with the venue tomorrow. We are bringing MXW back once again, and by popular demand this time. Our most recent show was about 5 years ago. We did some shows on a regular basis, 2004 to 2006. We took a break in 2010. We did a show in New Haven at Toad's Place. After that show, we took a break. And I wasn't sure if I'd ever... I don't want to say that. I was sure eventually that there was more that MXW needed to do, but I would have, in talking about how it's by popular demand, I'd have people either come up to me or send me a Facebook message or just a comment on Facebook page, whatever, and they'd say, how come no more MXW shows? What's it going to take to do an MXW show? And I was like, well, really, it's only going to take, a little list of about 6 different things, and that's the 5 lucky numbers and the Powerball. Because I didn't want to be beholden to a unique investor. I didn't want to just be somebody running a company for somebody else. I didn't want to, go the GoFundMe route and that kind of thing. There's about, 15 or 20 different ways you can take care of the funding and get investors and just, back a wrestling company. And most of them, for what I'm looking to do, unfortunately don't fit. At least I know that. So that's why MXW has kind of been in hiatus, and I've been in semi-retirement as a promoter and as a sole proprietor of it for about 5 years now. But, the moons aligned, and a local church here in Brooklyn, I met with them, just, chance meeting. They wanted to bring wrestling back to their church as something for them to do, a fundraiser type of thing, that kind of thing. They've had wrestling in there on and off for at least 20 years, because there's a show from about 20 years ago that I know of, just from being somebody here local to the area. So, yeah, it's a local wrestling venue that wants to get into wrestling again. We're a local, well, not really. We did Connecticut and Albany. This is going to be our debut in the New York City area and our debut in Brooklyn. I haven't promoted yet in my hometown. So, this will be the one. This is going to be the magical one, the proof of concept. And, this is, buckling down, and this is where the cow eats the cabbage. This is going to be the one that really should succeed, especially since, we're in partnership with the church, and we want to make sure that they do really well. So there are going to be more updates about MXW and that show, when it'll be, and obviously going forward, who's going to be on it and everything you can expect. And that's going to be across my Facebook, my Instagram, and my Twitter. And again, the first announcement should probably happen, I would say, tomorrow late night. Late night is in like 9 o'clock to midnight or so, because I have an evening meeting with the building tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
All right. Definitely looking forward to it. Definitely can't wait. And, anything you do, Joel, we're definitely promoted on our shows and, of course, all our avenues of social media as well.
I appreciate it. Before that show happens, the next couple of things that I would want people to know about, and I'll let people know how to get in touch with me on social media as well. But the next couple of things would be this coming Monday, the 14th, when WWE Raw is in Philly at Wells Fargo. I'm going to be doing a live event. It's a quintessential quiz wrestling trivia night. That's going to be happening during the commercials of Raw. During Raw, it's going to be me and guests, as well as people in attendance who want to jump in. We're going to be giving this away as a prize. We're going to have other prizes too, cash for trivia night, but also people for purchase. It'll be available that you can sit down and one of the matches, one of the segments, you can call it with me. You can do play-by-play and I'll do color. All of this is going to be on my Periscope. And this also is a proof of concept. I think this is something that I picked a local venue. I picked a relatively small venue. It was all done, so as to show that, me hosting this game show or trivia night effectively would be something that, we could make succeed on a small level and build from and have it grow and maybe tour with it. So, it's a Monday Night Raw viewing party with live commentary, alternate commentary, with me and you, the participant, over the house mic, and also for cash and prizes, including the chance to do commentary with me, Wrestling Trivia Night episode of the Quintessential Quiz. And, of course, we're going to have food, drink available for purchase as well, and we're also going to have Wrestling Universe, Jack Sabbath. He's got a store out in Queens. He's going to have a little table, a little annex pop-up store there at the theater. So this is all at Theater 294 in East Farmingdale, New York. It's going to be a real nice event, and place holds like 90 people. So we're looking to really do well, sell it out, maybe do it regularly, and again use it as a launching pad to do other stuff. And then after New Year's on January 9th, on the Saturday night, which is the first weekend after New Year's weekend, I'm going to be in Poughkeepsie, so not far from Mid-Hudson Civic Center. but I'm actually going to be at Mahoney's Irish Pub and Steakhouse, which is not only one of the best restaurants in Poughkeepsie, but it's also a venue for stuff like stand-up comedy, dinner theater, live music, that kind of thing. It's really one of the hot spots there now in that town. And they're linked in with a bunch of different comedy clubs. They get a lot of good stand-up shows in particular, and one that I'm blessed to be on January 9th. I am going to be the feature act, and then headlining is going to be Reverend Bob Levy, who is also a pro wrestling personality. He's actually
I know that is
Monster Factory. Yeah,
I know that guy.
Yeah, people who are into wrestling and stand-up do tend to know who he is. He's a Jersey guy, Monster Factory guy. He does all his own stuff. He writes his own material. He does stand-up. He has his own podcast, but he's also very famous as a caller into other people's, a guest, a caller, that kind of thing. So he's worked in that respect with Artie Lang. He's worked with Opie and Anthony. He's worked with Howard Stern. He's just, he's kind of like what Tommy Dreamer is in wrestling almost. And that's kind of the vibe I get from him in comedy, is that he's just kind of a barnstormer, and he just works with everybody, helps everybody, loves everybody.
Journeyman.
And I'm blessed. Yeah. So I'm blessed that he's helping me out with that. So he's going to be the feature act. I'll be doing my first stand-up set in quite a while, and I think it's only my third one ever. But what I'm thinking about doing is making it my first one ever, by way of not having it do. I'm not thinking about being Joel Gertner doing stand-up. I'm thinking about having it be the stand-up comedy debut of the quintessential stud muffin. So we'll see. It should be fun.
Well, we definitely can't wait. We spoke off air, and we're not going to announce some things, but Under the Mat Radio and Joel Gertner down the line definitely will be doing some things together. All goes well, and some shows. So definitely can't wait for that. Now we got a couple callers for you, Joel Gertner, if that is okay.
Sure thing.
All right. Going to bring a caller, Nate, 860. Welcome to Under the Mat Radio with Joel Gertner.
Yeah, is this Joel? The girls think I'm the whiz when I'm going to jizz Gertner?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, my buddy was telling me you were on the show. I missed your days in ECW when you used to cut those promos. Those were funny. Yeah, those were great back in the day, man. I miss the old ECW. Evan wanted me to ask you, what are your feelings of Captain for Kids, John Cena, and the current WWE product, especially Monday night?
What I didn't hear is what you said before John Cena, and I heard everything else.
He was just saying this. He wanted to know your thoughts on John Cena and your thoughts of the current WWE product.
I think the product right now is in an interesting stage, just based on, it's the wrestling business, so there's always this kind of toggle between the wrestling and the business. And the business right now is in a place where, they're on USA, they're moving SmackDown to USA, they've got a lot of stuff on the network, which is great, because that's the way to go, because they're, WWE have always kind of been leaders in the sense that, when pay-per-view was new, they made that a major part of their revenue stream, and they were really integral in being forefathers in pay-per-view cable television. Wrestling has always been, on the cusp and on the forefront when it comes to cable television in and of itself. Television, syndicated television, cable television, pay-per-view television. Wrestling has always been overweight disproportionate, included, as far as the internet. What I mean to say is that, if you took an internet poll, what is your favorite sporting event, and you list baseball, football, wrestling, everything else, wrestling will, perhaps, I think, register a better number in a poll like that on the internet than it might in the street, in a sports bar, on a subway car, anything like that. If you're a wrestling fan, you have a greater tendency, whether it's because of your age or just anything about the demographic and why it is you like wrestling, there's a better chance that you're all over the internet, certainly all over social media. So So wrestling has always kind of innovated when it comes to technology. And, it's going to happen again with virtual reality. Before that, it's happening right now with streaming. So the same way, people aren't watching TV so much anymore as they're, Netflix chilling out, with their watching Hulu, and they've got Amazon Prime, and they've got Apple TV, and this, that, and the other thing. WWE was very smart to go ahead and get the network done at the time that they did. Now, with the content and with the programming and with kind of the booking and the creative, I know a lot of fans, there's so much competition out there. There are a few different shows that you can watch. And, the fans haven't given up on indie wrestling, thank God. I think right now it's just the focus for me when I look at the business is on the business side of things. As far as creative goes, anything can become a catalyst. Sometimes, just like booking a house show where you've got to bring the crowd down so that you can build them back up again. The one thing, I don't want to say the one thing because I've learned so much in the 24 years that I've been in the wrestling industry, but one of the things that I've learned is that more often than not, because we don't see the man behind the curtain and because we don't see all of the machinations that go into making the sausage, we just see the finished product. I think it's easy for us to say that things are being done differently than we'd like, but we might not understand that there might be a method to the madness. And this is, over time we've seen things like that play out, whether it's different angles, whether it's the way different gimmicks or different personalities have been developed. We've seen where, fans will express that they don't like a certain direction that things are going in, and then, X many weeks or X many months later, it's revealed why week to week things played out the way they did. Case in point, just never knowing what you might expect or why things happen the way they do. I remember looking at the internet and looking at people say, oh my gosh, WWE's in Nashville. Lana's not there. I think oh man, it's Nashville. Well, wow. So if Lana's not there in Nashville, well, I guess that explains that. They're never going to use her again. And then she was on the next week. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to try to figure out why things happen at the time that they do or in the manner that they do, sometimes things cool off. Sometimes things get tested. Sometimes when you're investing in certain talent that's come through developmental and you want to just see their range and show different. It's so complicated. And I guess that's the one message that I would put out there is that, for as easy as you think it might need to be, or for as complicated as you might already know that pro wrestling is, it's just, that's just scratching the surface, you know what I mean? And then half of that is me talking out of my ass, you know what I mean? Because as somebody who did over 5 years with ECW, but hasn't been full-time in WCW, TNA, or WWE, just appearances, there's a lot about this business still, even me being 40 years old, that I don't yet know. But from what I know, I do know that, usually, and I'm not saying, this is the case in every, instance, but a lot of the time, more often than not, whatever's happening is happening for a reason. It's not happening because the owners of a billion-dollar corporation want to fiddle while it burns. You know what I mean? It's just not. So, but I do agree, it's an interesting time right now for WWE. They're creative, I think. To me, it's still interesting. I watch every week. Obviously that's never going to change. But I would say it's like the weather in Florida. If for whatever reason, you think it could be better, it has been better, or you like it when it's different, this is wrestling, man. It's always going to be different. They've never kept it the same week after week, month after month, decade after decade, and they're never going to. So, like I was going to say, like Florida weather, if you're not thinking that the ideal episodes are the ones that you've seen in the last week or so, just keep watching and give it time. It'll change. Right. Because in the wrestling business, the only thing constant is change.
No, that is true. That is true. Joe, thank you for that. Nate, thank you, buddy, for calling in.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
Thank you. We got a couple more callers, Joe. We got one of your biggest fans been tweeting us all day, tweeting the show all day, bringing in Daniel right now. Welcome, live.
Well, thank you for having me in. First of all, Mr. Gertner, Joe, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time in ECW. Thank you for always tweeting with the fans on Twitter when you do. And I just want to say thank you for your time in ECW. Thank you for your amazing promos, just showing your heart through the promos, whether it was managing the Dudley family, Dudleyville, or being paired up with Joey Styles. I want to say thank you for your creative, genius, perverted, amazing mind, just amazing promos and just the heart you showed through every single promo you ever did.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You actually set my cat off, Little Kitty Chaos. She started meowing for about 30 seconds now, ever since you started with the compliment. So I know how to take a compliment, and I do appreciate everything you said, but I guess she does too. And if you want to follow her, Instagram's Little Kitty Chaos.
You even got the cat marking out.
Well, it's seriously, I'm from Philly, so I've been to the ECW arena. I know I watched ECW the whole run. And just every single time you came on the screen, it was just a truly magic. I want to say thank you. I don't know if you guys know what an EFED is or what it used to be, but I used to actually role play as the Dudley Boys and Joel Gertner because I always created Joel Gertner promos. And I even created like some for today. Once I knew that you were going to be on here, I created custom Joel Gertner promos.
Well, wait, go ahead. You got time. Go ahead and share about one with us.
All right, let me say, okay. Well, if it isn't the quintessential stud muffin, Joe, I give the shirt off my back to go ahead and play with your rack, toying with them and making it hard so I can hit a homer out of the yard, Gertner.
Nice. Very.
Yo, they're on that NFC Gameboy. You like that?
I actually did like that, man. I think that was very classy, man, and a great way to pay homage, man.
Yeah, cool. We got time. Go ahead, Daniel. Give us one more.
All right.
Okay.
Well. If it isn't the quintessential stud muffin, Joel, I'm the man you remember from the land of extreme, the one that makes your lady cream. When she got done dreaming of me, she'd be out for the count of 3, Gertner.
Nice.
There you go. Now we got to do kind of like a battle rap. Now we got you on, Daniel. You did your too. Now, Joe, if you don't mind, would you mind doing a little spill towards Daniel?
Yeah, I can. Let's see. Well. It is I, the lyrical miracle, the factual, intellectual, the cunning linguist, and the quintessential stud muffin. Joel, your lady lets me play with her this. She lets me play with her that. She lets me play with everything. She lets me play with her pussy cat. She lets me play Nintendo. She lets me play Baccarat. But we can't do it at your house, so we do it under the mat.
There you go.
I'll say poetic.
That was awesome.
Right.
There you go. There. Yeah. There.
Daniel, thank you much for calling on in. Holy, keep listening to the show, okay?
I just want to say thank you again to Mr. Gertner. Joe, thank you. You seriously are one of my extreme icons and heroes, so thank you.
You got it, my man. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love.
Thank you.
Nope.
Now, I got an idea. Coming up soon, we're good friends with Leap and Lanny Poffo. That would be great just to have the genius have a little poetic battle with the quintessential stud muffin, Joel Gertner. Say what that, Joel?
Yeah, welcome that, man. Good.
Well, while we at it, NSC, so Joel about the rap battle you had.
Well, the boy had to say a few words. I had a rap battle with Oscar from Men on a Mission about a year and a half ago. That he had to crown me the king, but I had to give it back to him because you can't do that to a legend, though. Man. So,
right.
Yeah. You know how it is. Cool. Thank you.
Believe we also got another caller calling in. Area code 281. Welcome to Under the Mat Radio with Joel Gertner.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Nicholas from Houston.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. And just had a quick question for Mr. Gertner regarding Monday Night Raw. Why do you think the WWE is having so many problems just trying to find that one or two marquee names? Or is it just now going to be a collective effort on the part of everybody? Is that where the industry is right now?
It could be, because the industry is always in flux. So that's anybody's guess. I think that's the $4 million question is that the way the industry is? I know that there has been the belief that it takes a strong top guy, and that doesn't need to be your top physical performer, your top, your best technical wrestler on the roster, and that kind of thing. And going back to the '80s, it was always kind of, you need your top draw, your top charisma guy that sells tickets, and you put the world title on him. And you put the Intercontinental title, for example, back then in the 80s on somebody that could go and that, exemplified and personified professional wrestling, for now, the business has changed and always changed. So now it may be a collective effort. I'm surprised at different times that it wasn't more of one because wrestling is basically a physical variety show. It's a sports soap opera, and, just as much. It's not even really, I don't think, you can't cover all of the bases in describing it. You really limit it by calling it a soap opera because it's so much more than that. But because there's comedy and drama and, just everything, up and down and across the spectrum, it really is more of a variety show with the music and the pyro and everything else. So, I've been surprised at different times that it wasn't more of a ensemble, kind of like a team effort, like you say, a collective. So who knows? I don't know. I think they're giving time to a lot of people that they want to sprout wings and fly, more so than that, because you can strap a rocket ship to anybody, and as long as the machine is behind somebody, 9 times out of 10, they will get over. So it's not so much about, that, but it's also, letting people show range and do things that are different. Sheamus has always been a singles wrestler, and he's been good as a babyface and a heel. He's shown the range in getting himself over, and he's, but now, as part of a team, as part of a stable, when they started yesterday's show, it definitely did bring back to me thoughts of the 90s. And when they did the 4x4, when they did the 4-way, the 16-man, whatever you want to call it, it brought to me, thoughts of when wrestling was hot at that time, where there were so many different factions, at war with each other. And, it's cool that they had that throwback that did bring that, to mind. Whether that's the direction that they plan on going with for months and months or for years and years, whether it's something that was just done because, it is something different in the here and now, I don't know. Now, in the grander scheme of things, whether they're looking for one guy to be a face of the company type, or whether they are looking for a number of guys so that they have, just kind of an upper echelon. I really don't know, but I think it's smart that if you're going to take time and effort and resources and develop everybody at NXT and everything like that, I think it's smart to give them opportunities along the way to prove themselves so that you don't wind up, getting the other kind of complaint of, oh, man, why is this guy being shoved down our throats? He's not ready.
I see. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Gertner. You truly are an extreme icon and a legend.
That's what's up.
And I'd like to wish you and wish all of you and your families happy holidays. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. You do the same.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Of course, I'm turning over now to our media assistant, Saltine. Go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Joel Gertner. How you doing?
What's up, Saltine?
See, everybody like the Saltine one. See, told you, Tat, told you. All right. here's a question that I really want to know. Who was the biggest person that you lost during the years that meant a lot to you? Wrestlers that have died. Who was the biggest inspiration to you?
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't want to single one out as far as people that have passed. People, anybody who I've worked with, obviously that's, really sad, when it's somebody that you've known personally and worked with personally. I think I've been blessed that, I've been close with a few people that have, Big Dick Dudley passing away hit me very hard. Frank Iadavia from Jersey All Pro Wrestling recently passed away, and he's somebody who I came up in the business with. He was young when he passed, and that was, in the past few months. That hit me pretty hard. A local guy, Professor Elliot Marin, who I had become friendly with and talking with him just recently in the last year or so, who lived about a mile or two from where I'm at right now. He passed away as well a few months ago, and we had many mutual friends, and just, we had a lot of, just commonality as far as, in the local scene and the business. Gosh, man, I wouldn't want to, and that's probably as far as I would go, because it's just, unfortunately, there's been a number of people that have passed, and, it's sad when that happens. Hack Myers passed away a few days ago.
Yes.
Another guy that I came up with in the business that I knew even before ECW, going back to when I was a teenager locally, was Chris Canyon. So, so many, great guys. They're all, it's a tragedy when anybody passes before their time. So, yeah.
I agree. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that. NXT Gameboy, go ahead and end it with the question before we start with the plug party.
Well, my last question to you is, now that you have really converted to your blog, I said blog. Now that you have converted with your wrestling in your organization and you got everything pretty much lined up, after this all said and done, after you finish now with the career and you've pretty much gotten away from wrestling, what is your next business venture? Like, what is over the horizon for you? You've pretty much got almost everything else down pat, and you got some exciting new things for 2016. But once it's said and done, what are you looking over the horizon? What is the next step for you?
That's a great question. I think I'd always want it to be like it is right now, where every day, I'm kind of working for myself, working from home, independent contractor, kind of just freelance, If one of the regular companies that does weekly television is interested in me being a part of it, I'm definitely happy to listen and would love to be as big a part of the wrestling business as I could. And, to that end, I don't think I'll ever fully be out of it. I think, whether it's teaching seminars, whatever the case might be, I think I'll always want to be integrated as part of the wrestling landscape, in some manner. I like investing. Right now that's in the stock market. I think over time, hopefully, if I'm blessed enough, I'll integrate real estate into that as well. I teach math. I like doing that. I'm a little reluctant to spend the time and get my master's degree and really go into the public school system, because I've heard that, if you love teaching, I've had a couple of people tell me that all you need to do is go ahead and teach full-time for a living in a public school, and then, that'll solve that because you won't love teaching anymore. So I wouldn't want that to happen. I want it to be something that I enjoy and a means, in which I give back to the community and to the future and that kind of thing. So I'm doing that now, and we'll see where that takes me. But, just like to have fun, keep busy, do whatever's clever. Performing in wrestling and seminars in wrestling is one thing, but performing in stand-up is fun as well. I'd like to do more voice acting and acting as well. And that's about it. Just, kind of, again, whatever makes sense, whatever works.
That's excellent, man. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I hope that you have the chance to achieve that, man. And me and Tech, we both enjoy the fact that you want to still stay in the business and give your all. And we're hoping that some of the fans out there, push for you to probably go with one of these corporations, one of these companies out there to get you on television, get you in the back, and help with that boom that's really going on right now and starting to develop in wrestling.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, before we let you go, we do something what we call a plug party. So go ahead. I know you did it earlier. Go ahead and plug away your upcoming events again. Let everybody know how to contact you on social media.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, first few things I could think of for the plugs would be a couple of them I mentioned already. We've got this coming Monday, December 14th, 7:30 p.m. at Theater 294 in East Farmingdale, New York. And it's going to be a Monday Night Raw viewing party for the show coming up this Monday from the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'll be doing commentary, so we'll be watching the show, but we'll be listening to me and guests and friends and you, active participants, coming up and calling a match for a segment with me. During the commercials of the show, it's going to be the quintessential quiz, so of it ever, and this is all going to be on Periscope. And test your pro wrestling knowledge for cash and for prizes, and for the opportunity to call a match with me. On January 9th, a Saturday night, I'm going to be at Mahoney's Irish Pub and Steakhouse doing stand-up comedy. This is going to be in Poughkeepsie, New York, and this is going to be featuring Quintessential Stud Muffin, making the Quintessential Stud Muffin's stand-up debut, and the headliner that night after me will be the Reverend Bob Levy. There's going to be an MXW show, like I mentioned, coming up, either in the late first quarter or the early second quarter, sometime around then of 2016. For more on that, you can keep up with my Facebook, which I'll give in a moment. CelebVM is a sponsor of mine, and they're a business partner of mine. I'm featured on there. You can find them at celebvm.com, also at CelebVM, Twitter and Instagram. And I've got a page there, and if you have a special video message that you'd like to get for yourself, for a friend, for a family member, gift for somebody, you can write it and let me know what I should say, or you can just give me some, kind of bare bones details. I'll write it myself, but they're all between about 60 and 90 seconds. It's super affordable, $25 each right now on sale, November and December, down from $30. So check that out. The social media on Facebook, if you can get into my personal Facebook, I add everybody. I never delete everybody. I keep my personal Facebook. It's an open book. However, Facebook has their own policy where they max out at 5,000 friends.
Yes.
And usually I only get the opportunity to add one or two people a day. So you usually have to try to get into the queue, and then from the queue I try to put everybody in. But if you can get through to that, that's Facebook/MXW Joel Gertner. If you can't get in there, the fan page is /TheRealQSM Joel Gertner, with QSM standing for Quintessential Stud Muffin. MXW also has their own page. It's, I believe, MXW Pro Wrestling. There are a couple of pages. One is just a shell. Hasn't been updated in a long, long time. Only has a handful of people on it. So you would be able to tell pretty easily which MXW Pro Wrestling is the right sports league community on Facebook to be in. On Instagram, I am at Quintessential Stud Muffin, and the Twitter is at MXW Wrestling.
Yes. Thank you. The Quintessential Stud Muffin, Joel Gertner. Shout out to your cat. What's your cat's name again?
Yeah, the cat is Chaos, and she's got so many different names, man. She's like Angela Meowricle. She's like Chairwoman Meow. She's like Colonel Meowser. Sometimes she's Meownce. She has like tons of names. But you can find her on Instagram under all those names as Little Kitty Chaos.
We will make sure we follow her. We're going to call her the quintessential cat. That's going to be her name for. Give a little
Nice.
bro for that.
Nice.
Joe, it's been a pleasure. We definitely will
Yes,
talk
sir.
to you off air, and hopefully have you back on the show again.
Thanks so much. Thank you guys for having me on. Have a great night.
All right,
Thank
you do the same, baby. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody, that was